You're listening to the Arkansas Agcast, where we discuss the latest news, trends, and issues impacting Arkansas farmers and ranchers. Our show is brought to you by the Arkansas Farm Bureau Federation and hosted by Rob Anderson and Jason Brown.
Aha! We tricked you today. As you can see, there is no Rob Anderson in studio.
That's right.
That's because he is chaperoning a trip to space camp this week. We miss Rob.
Yes.
But he sent a photo of his sleeping accommodations the other day. And we may miss him, but we're not jealous, are we?
Not jealous at all. I was like, oh man, that'd be small for me.
Yeah. So Rob is. Rob asked me to measure him. It's a weird circumstance, but we were in a football locker room over the weekend, Rob and I, and they had a measuring tape on the wall for the athletes. He was 6'6". So do you want to describe Rob's sleeping?
Let's just say the photo I saw of the boys he was chaperoning.
Yeah.
They were all like, 3.5, 4 feet tall.
Yeah.
The beds looked like they would just fit them.
And Rob was on the top bunk.
I have a feeling he was like completely sandwiched up and was still too big for it.
So we know, Rob, we know you're probably here with us in spirit today because, man, that's got to be tough.
It was tough. I'm sure he had a good time.
Yeah.
I mean, he's always wanted to go to space camp.
I've always wanted to go to space camp.
Yeah, me too.
Yeah. So, all right, but we do have Brian Pistole filling in as co-host today. So I'm going to tell you, if you did not know already how talented Brian is, he's not only playing the role of producer where he pulls all the switches and levers and, plays the man behind the curtain, but he's also today will be our co-host. So anyway, well, let me see here. We've got a little bit of news that we want to share today, but before we get there, wanted to remind everybody the Arkansas Farm Bureau Foundation Trap Shoot is coming up on June the 10th, but what you need to know is the registration for that event closes today. So if you don't get registered today in May 26th, you will not have a chance to compete. So if you are interested in the Farm Bureau Foundation Trap Shoot, you need to register today. You can do that at arfb.com, I believe.
Yes, and that's a great event. It kind of it's also Foundation Week.
Oh, okay. I didn't know that.
Yeah, it's June 5th through 11th.
Yeah, okay.
And so it kind of culminates there at the end. It's right towards the end, and this is a great fundraiser for the foundation.
Well, I think we usually have some high school teams, like some teams come out.
We do.
I think the foundation, a group of guys here who duck hunt and things like that, put a team in.
I'll tell you this much: I wouldn't want to compete against them.
Yeah, no doubt, man.
I'm not that good.
But I think anyway, it's a really cool event. There's some video of last year's event. If you're interested, you can see that on our YouTube channel.
Yeah.
Speaking of our YouTube channel, we launched a new series. We've been doing some series as of late with our team. We launched a new series called Ask a Farmer. Do you want to tell us a little bit about that?
Yeah, Ask a Farmer series. It's been doing really well. We wanted a series that would kind of piggyback on to what we had done with the Filthy Farm Jobs, and that one did real well as well. But we've recently added some new topics. We've got we have someone talking about forestry.
Okay.
We've got a cattle rancher, and got a sheep farmer. And
oh wow,
I don't know if you've ever seen a baby sheep.
Yeah.
But,
no, I don't think I have.
Oh, about the most adorable
Cuteness
thing.
overload.
Oh my goodness.
Oh, okay.
That whole video it's great.
Yeah.
It's fantastic.
Well, awesome. So if you're interested in that, and there's some great questions. Most of these questions come from folks who haven't been on a farm or haven't spent much time on a farm.
Correct.
So if you're really, we were driving down the road the other day, and my wife asked me, how do they cut sod? And I thought maybe we need a sod farm,
Right.
But that's the kind of questions that we're talking. It's not like how do you, raise a sheep with, a protein rate of 90%. I don't know. It's not like real technical scientific. It's really the basics, and it's meant to be the basics for folks who haven't spent time on the farm.
And if you have questions, because we'll do more of these, we've reached the end of this, what we call Series 1, but we want more questions. Yeah. So we want more topics. By all means, give us some thoughts on our social channels.
Yeah. Drop that in the comments of this live stream right now. If there's a farming topic or crop that you want us to focus on, Matthew, who's one of our producers of the show, Matthew is heading up that series, and certainly he'll see that and add it to the list.
Wait a minute, why isn't he sitting here? I mean,
that's a good point. That's a good point. We should have had.
It's a little late for that, but it's okay.
All right. Well, last thing I'll mention before we dig in is that today we were able to celebrate several Farm Bureau employees and their retirement here in the building. This included employees of insurance and employees of the Federation, including 2 Federation employees. We work for the Federation, and the reason that's important is the Federation is sort of the agriculture advocacy portion of what we do. So we were able to celebrate retirees, including one person on our PR team, Keith Sutton, as everybody knows, is Catfish.
Yeah,
it was great to celebrate Catfish a couple times this week, and certainly we'll miss him dearly and wish him well in retirement.
Well, not to mention the other one, Warren Carter.
Oh yeah, Warren Carter.
So
this was his we talked about his retirement a little bit, and then Steve Stroh, which was one of our district directors as well.
Wish them well, and I know they'll be happy, but it was a good time.
Yeah,
we enjoyed it.
That's the truth. All right, well, let's dig into some news here. So, actually, we're going to kick off the show with some breaking news, something we have not had the opportunity to do yet, but this is just in from the Senate Ag Committee. Senators Stabenow and Bozeman have announced an Arkansas Farm Bill field hearing for in the coming weeks. We speculated this just a few weeks ago, and it was announced as we were walking into the studio to record this show. So Senator Stabenow of Michigan, who's the chairwoman of the Senate Committee on Agriculture, Nutrition, and Forestry, announced along with Senator Bozeman that the hearing in Arkansas will be held to gain input from producers in the state as the process of writing the 2023 Farm Bill begins. The hearing will include Arkansas ag producers, industry stakeholders, and rural community supporters. The hearing will be held on Friday, June 17th at 9 a.m. on the campus of Arkansas State University at the Fowler Center. And it will also be streamed live online at ag.senate.gov.
That's exciting. I know a lot of people have been waiting to hear some about this. We've mentioned it some on
the show. We've been trying to cover some aspect of the Farm Bill. I thought we weren't going to have Farm Bill news this week.
Yeah. Well, piggybacks right along with the group that went to D.C. Couple weeks ago.
That's right. Yeah. So I think a couple weeks ago we reported on a group of Farm Bureau board members here in Arkansas and our staff who went to D.C. to have some communication or have some conversations and communicate the priorities that we would like to see included in the Farm Bill and addressed in the 2023 Farm Bill. So we've been doing a lot of work on this. We'll certainly be involved in gathering producers and input for this field hearing. Senator Stabenow hosted a field hearing like this in Michigan last month, I believe. So be Senator Bozeman's turn.
Very good.
Yeah, glad to be having that in the state. Now, moving on from that, I know it's tough to think about irrigation needs this week with all the rain that we've had forecasted. It's very cloudy here in Little Rock today, but we do have some news for those who are looking to find efficiencies on the farm. The U of A System Division of Agriculture's annual Most Crop per Drop irrigation yield contest is now open for Arkansas rice, soybean, and corn producers. They are eligible to enter and compete for $95,000 in cash and prizes this year, which is the most in the contest's history. Dr. Chris Henry, a friend of ours here at Farm Bureau, we go visit him often, who works on the program, said to win, you must have both a high yield and low water use. And he suggests using the best water management practices for your operation. This might include computerized hole selection, sensor-based scheduling, pump controls, alternate wetting and drying of rice, and, of course, many other options. Cash prizes will be awarded to top winners in the corn and soybean divisions, $6,000 to the first place winners, $3,000 for the second place, and $1,000 for the third place winner. The Arkansas Corn and Grain Sorghum Promotion Board and the Arkansas Soybean Promotion Board are providing the prizes. Rice growers for the first time can compete in one of two divisions, furrow irrigated rice or flood. And I believe those prizes are provided by Rice Tech, but I don't want to get that incorrect. Meters must be the important part. Meters must be in place before irrigation, and entry forms are due by June the 30th. Participants may register by emailing contest@uark.edu or calling 870-673-2661. More details are available on the University Division's website. I bet you can always call your county extension agent to get details and or register yourself.
That's great. It's it's exciting that they're offering that much prize money, and it's a great way to get educated in the process, and that's really cool.
Yeah, it's it's a great program. I've seen it at work. I've seen the water savings that can come from things like soil moisture sensors and probe-based scheduling and things like that, and it's a really, really interesting program. So, all right, but moving on from irrigation to eradication, how's that for a transition? Let's talk about feral hogs for a second. The Arkansas Department of Agriculture will receive $650,000 in federal funds to support its feral hog eradication efforts. The funds come from the Consolidated Appropriations Act of 2022. In addition to those funds, the Buffalo River Conservation Committee allocated an additional $74,000 to the USDA's Animal and Plant Health Inspection Service to expand eradication efforts in the Buffalo River watershed. The Arkansas Department of Ag will use these funds to implement a statewide feral hog management plan, and these efforts will supplement ongoing removal activities, including eradication efforts in 12 Arkansas counties, funded through the USDA's NRCS's Feral Swine Eradication and Control Pilot Program.
It just amazes me. It seems like every time I turn around, we're still hearing about the feral hog problem.
Yeah, it really is a part of just about every conversation when we sit down with the producer.
We went on a trip for one of our shoots with PR department here, and we had just gotten there that morning, and the farmer took us over to one of his locations there on the farm, and we didn't know what he was going to show us there, but there was a whole lot of damage, and said hogs did this. Like, whoa, wow. Really? Yeah. I mean, it was bad. I'd never seen that before, but it really is a problem and cost them so much money.
I mean, if you want to trap them, it costs money. If you want to hire somebody to come out and work on the issue, it costs money. It costs money to clean up, costs money in crop loss. I mean, it really is a problem. Yeah. So it's good to see that that these funds are being invested in the state to help with this issue. It really is.
Absolutely. Well, let's switch gears again for a moment to the livestock and poultry industry.
Okay.
There's news of meat processing expansion.
All right.
The USDA is making $200 million available to strengthen the food supply chain and create opportunities for small businesses and entrepreneurs in rural communities. These funds will be available through the Meat and Poultry Intermediary Lending Program. The USDA will provide grants of up to $15 million to nonprofit lenders, including private nonprofits, cooperatives, public agencies, and tribal entities. These intermediaries will use this funding to establish a revolving loan fund to finance a variety of activities related to meat and poultry processing. For example, businesses, they may use these loans to acquire land, build or expand facilities, and they may be looking to modernize equipment.
Sure.
They haven't been able to.
Yeah.
The idea being here, when the loans are repaid,
Mm-hmm.
The intermediaries can make additional loans
Okay.
to support activities throughout the middle of the food supply chain.
Mm-hmm. That makes sense.
This funding can help businesses aggregate, process, manufacture, store, plant, wholesale, and distribute food.
Okay.
Grants are available through 2 application cycles.
Okay.
Applications for the first round of funding must be received by July 25th of this year. You can get that through www.grants.gov.
Yeah. This is really great to see a continued investment in the meat processing space. Anytime this comes up, I think about the meat inspection bill that Arkansas Farm Bureau worked on and helped pass in Arkansas. We're seeing continued investment and expansion in this space. We reported on the podcast just a couple of weeks ago, Williams Baptist up in Walnut Ridge is opening a meat processing facility that gives jobs to students in college there and trains them on the skills that it takes to work in these facilities. But they're also obviously going to be processing, food through there for people to purchase and to help make sure the supply chain is sturdy and steady. We were with Dr. Mickey Latour last weekend at Arkansas State. Arkansas State University is working on expanding and earning USDA and its approval or inspection status for their meat processing facility in Jonesboro. So we're seeing investments in the public and private education space, making funds available here through USDA, and the goal of all of this, right, is just to make sure that we're trying to shore up the supply chain a bit and invest in some of these producers that want to go direct to market.
Yes.
With their poultry and livestock.
Yes.
So that's really great to see.
It is.
It's a good one. Thanks for bringing that. Now we've been tracking early voting from the Arkansas primary election, and this week wrapped up primary season. Each week we've been giving an update from early voting, but Tuesday was primary election day across the state, and we'll share the results of the state constitutional offices here on the podcast. But first, we asked Stanley Hill, Vice President of Governmental Affairs, to talk here at Farm Bureau to talk about the importance of voting. Brian, do you mind playing that clip of Stanley?
Sure thing.
Well, first of all, let me say thank you to all of those citizens out there concerned enough to exercise your right to vote. Voting is such an integral part of what we do as Americans, and we need to make certain that we take advantage of that right. In so doing, we have a process. I guess it starts with those who feel the desire to offer themselves in the public arena, making that announcement. Of course, we went through the process of the filings back in March. And this is the first real step in the voting process that we went through on Tuesday, that being the preferential primary, which simply means you're going to vote in the primary of your choice or of your choosing, either as a Democrat or Republican, and send that nominee to the general election in November. So I can't reiterate enough how important it is for us as Americans. This is the system that our forefathers chose to select our leaders and the leadership of our nation, the leadership of our local governments as well. And we need to actively be a part of the process.
Yeah. Well, certainly appreciate Stanley for that patriotic pep talk.
How about that?
He's right. It's essential that we exercise our right to vote. The primary election day on Tuesday was historical in that it solidified the fact that voters in November will either elect the first woman governor or the first African-American governor in the state's history. We're going to report on the contested state constitutional races only. I just want to be clear, this is not an inclusive list of all the races. It's just a snapshot of some of the big races that were highlighted leading up to the primary. Certainly look at your local favorite preferred news source if you want to find all of the election results. The Secretary of State's website will have that information as well. We just wanted to report on a couple. All right, here we go. Chris Jones earned the Democratic nomination for governor, which Sarah Huckabee Sanders earned the Republican nomination for governor. In the lieutenant governor's race, Attorney General Leslie Rutledge earned the Republican nomination. John Thurston won the Republican nomination for Secretary of State. He's the incumbent there. Annabeth Gordon won the Democratic nomination for that office. Tim Griffin earned the Republican nomination for the Attorney General race. And moving on to the state treasurer primary, Mark Lowry of Maumelle won the Republican nomination there. In federal races, Senator John Bozeman earned his party nomination for the U.S. Senate and will face Natalie James, who earned the Democratic nomination. All incumbent U.S. House members from Arkansas were successful in winning their primaries as well. We've talked a lot about our political directory resource at arcelect.com. That will be updated to reflect the primary results and will remain live and available until the general election in November.
So the election, the primary that we just had, that there's going to be a runoff for some of the races.
Yeah.
What date is that?
Yeah. So runoff, there are a few races that went to runoff, meaning that one candidate didn't get 50% of the vote or more. That runoff election is June 21st in the state of Arkansas, and there will be early voting, I think, 2 weeks in advance of that. Yeah. But June 21 is the runoff.
And we've just gone through the primaries. This is not like the people who won. They won their nomination for the party. This is not done. We still have the big election later this year.
Yeah, that's right. For instance, in the governor's race, Sarah Huckabee Sanders was, in the race against another Republican candidate. Yeah. Chris Jones was in the race against other Republican candidates. Yeah. Now they'll face off. That's what we were just deciding who is the nominee in the cases where a party had multiple candidates for an office. Yeah.
So all the more reason to go to Arcelect.
Yeah, we'll sort of clear the deck, as it were, there, and get down to the remaining candidates in place.
Great resource.
Yeah. Well, let's take a break from the news and learn a bit about how an Arkansas Farm Bureau membership goes to work in your community.
Your Arkansas Farm Bureau membership supports our work on behalf of Arkansas farmers, ranchers, and rural communities around the state. From youth leadership programs and academic scholarships to hunger relief and disaster support and much more. You can make a difference and be a champion for your community. Join today at arfb.com.
Awesome. I love that spot.
Yeah.
A great example of Farm Bureau memberships at work is just like in the Benton County office of Benton County.
Yeah.
Their Women's Leadership Committee, they recently donated boxes of cereal to Northside Elementary.
Oh, wow.
That's just another example of how the power of our memberships works.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of people always ask how they can get involved. They want to get involved.
Mm-hmm.
They don't want to just be told about stuff. They want to do. Well, that's one great thing about Arkansas Farm Bureau membership that people don't understand. It is a great way to get involved. There is a lot that you can do.
Yeah.
And if you want to be involved in something, if you like to serve, become a member, reach out to your county farm bureau. There's a list of things that are going on all the time. Food pantry, there's scholarships that you can donate to. There's just all kinds of things. So that disaster relief, all that kind of stuff.
Or if you just say, like, look, I'm really busy, but I wouldn't mind, helping make some of these things happen in my community.
Yeah.
Then, look, go online, buy that membership. It's $40 a year, and support the scholarships, support the recognition of your local high school athletes, support feeding kiddos in your community who may need a little extra help. Do those things, the disaster relief programs, and $40 a year. It's a night out to dinner at a cheap place,
right?
For a family of four. So
exactly.
It's a real opportunity to make a difference in your community by joining Farm Bureau, even if you, it really is. It's really easy.
Well, our next story shares some information about what the USDA is doing to help address threats to global food security. The USDA will allow Conservation Reserve Program participants who are in the final year of their CRP contract to request voluntary termination of their contract following the end of the primary nesting season for fiscal year 2022.
Okay.
Participants approved for this one-time voluntary termination will not have to repay rental payments. Pardon me.
Good clarification.
That's a big one. They don't have to repay the rental payments. A flexibility implemented this year to help mitigate the global food supply challenges caused by the Russian invasion of Ukraine and some other factors. If approved for the voluntary termination, preparations can occur after the conclusion of the primary nesting season. Producers will then be able to hay, graze, begin land preparation activities, and plant a fall seed crop before October 1st of this year. Producers and landowners can learn more about this option by contacting their local FSA office.
Okay, awesome. Good flexibility in the CRP program there. Well, we've been covering planting progress across the natural state each week, and this week's no exception, although I will tell you our weeks are probably numbered. Spoiler alert on how much longer we'll be able to cover planting progress. The unfortunate thing is, I say that, depending on where you are, we continue to see rain in the state over the weekend, and I guess over the week. I know in one night at my house, I got 2.25 inches just in one event. So for the most part, I think we're out of the rain this week after whatever few showers today fall. We'll see a dry weekend and dry next week, according to what I'm seeing. But anyway, as of Sunday, we have planted 71% of the soybean crop. We've gone from behind the 5-year average to ahead of that pace. We've planted 3/4 of the state's cotton crop as of this week, keeping us on pace for the 5-year average. We're closing out the rice planting now with 90% completed. That will probably be wrapped up next week if I had to guess. On the topic of finishing up planting, we're 98% completed on the corn crop with 90% of that crop emerged, which is a good thing. And peanuts are barely behind the 5-year average with about 70% planted. Cool story I'll have to tell you when we're not on air, but we had the opportunity to tour Delta Peanut, their facility in Jonesboro last week, and that place was it's really a great place. I bet most of these peanuts are going there. We'll continue watching the progress over the next couple weeks, like I said, but so far so good. We're wrapping up really, really quickly, and I imagine we'll be done. And I'm not an agronomist, but in the next 2 weeks, I can't imagine that we're not finished. So there we go for one of your last planting progress updates from the Arkansas Agcast.
Yeah, this mild weather we're having is not going to last forever. It's
that's it.
We still have the hot, humid months ahead.
I think we'll be back in the 90s
yeah.
Saturday.
Yeah.
So a good warm Memorial Day weekend there.
Well, that said, we're right on the cusp of summer. It's right around the corner.
Yep.
The University of Arkansas at Pine Bluff has a heads up for cattle ranchers when it comes to drought conditions, heat, and cattle production.
Okay.
Current long-range weather patterns predict drier weather from June to August. Dr. David Fernandez, Extension Livestock Specialist at UAPB, with warmer and dry conditions, hay and feed supply could decline and prices may increase. So Dr. Fernandez is encouraging farmers to prepare for the possibility of mild to moderate drought this summer. Dr. Fernandez says farmers should secure good quality hay and feed now. Even though local conditions may be good, High Plains producers may require supplemental feed later, which would mean local supplies could be sold to producers in other states. Dr. Fernandez also encourages producers to purchase hay in terms of pounds of nutrients rather than tons of hay. Your local county extension agent can teach you how to collect a good hay sample, and he says that adds that a good quality hay may allow you to limit feed while still meeting the need.
So supply gets short.
Yes.
Yeah.
Additionally, the USDA National Resources Conservation Service Environmental Quality Incentive Program, EQIP, or EQIP.
Yeah.
That is a mouthful. Thank you for that. Offers financial assistance to farmers and ranchers who want to distribute watering facilities more evenly across their farms and ranches.
Okay, good. So, yeah, certainly not saying there's a drought situation here, and we may never experience it in the state.
No, I mean, but we do experience it. And,
Sure.
We'll have, that's the crazy thing to me, we'll have moments where we have just extreme rain and flooding and just wet as we can be, and we'll go immediately to just drying everything up, and it'll stay that way for a good long while.
I think a couple weeks ago it was, so wet we were having trouble getting row crops in some areas, but USDA had, drought assistance for 20 counties in Arkansas. I mean, you just never know. But this story is a really good example. I'm glad you put it in here. It's a good example of how, it's not all local.
Right.
It's something, a drought impacting the High Plains certainly has a way of trickling down to our producers here in the state.
Yes.
When it comes to feed supply in this case.
Well, and it's just another example too. We're not, farmers and ranchers of this state are not just concerned about this state.
Yeah, that's right.
They're concerned about the world as a whole, or
Yeah,
our neighboring states, our nation. They're concerned about everyone.
yeah, you're right.
Well, before we get out of here, I do have a couple of things to share.
Okay,
just your
All
normal.
right. I'm
stay-
glad to know that you did not forsake your.
I did not
your
forsake my
your
my
duties
role here.
as producer.
That's right.
And with
We can't get out of here without a little pop culture.
all right, cool.
So
I know it. Let's do it.
Yeah, John Wayne was born today in 1907.
Really?
Yeah.
I should have made a cowboy joke or something.
My granddaughters would love this because they're fascinated with vampires for some reason at the moment. I was told the first copies of the classic vampire novel Dracula, Bram Stoker, his book, went on sale May 26, 1897.
My goodness.
And it was on May 26, 1927, it was the final day of production. The very last Model T Ford rolled off the line.
Oh man.
They had made 15 million of them.
15 million.
Yeah.
Goodness.
And it was right before we came down here. Not to be a Debbie Downer or anything,
boy.
but I was shocked.
I know what you're gonna say. I think I saw this too.
Man, Ray Liotta.
Field of Dreams.
Ray Liotta died today. He was 67, but yeah, Shoeless Joe Jackson.
Yeah. I love that movie.
I do too.
The book's great too, though, if you haven't read the book. Yeah. Well, thanks for sharing that.
Sure.
Keeping us informed on pop culture. If you've never been in Brian's office, you'll see that pop culture is sort of his thing, and
I'm full of useless information. Is what you're saying.
No, man, you did great. Hey, look, I will say, I apologize. We're a bit long-winded today, but we just had a lot of great information to share.
Yes.
And we put some things off. I mean, there's some things that we were looking at doing this week that we didn't, simply because we knew we were going to be long-winded. And then we had that breaking news story come in and things like that. But anyway, I appreciate you willing to sit in Rob's absence. I do believe he'll be back.
I believe he's scheduled to be back next week.
Back in the house next week, so we'll be back. And then, so we'll have Rob back next week. Of course, Brian will be with us as always. I guess that wraps up the news for this week. Thanks for sticking with us. Like I said, for this week's Arkansas Agcast.
Yeah, and remember, you can catch the live stream every Thursday at 2 p.m. on Facebook and YouTube. Just make sure you have your notifications turned on to get alerts when we go live. I apologize if anyone had some glitches today with our live stream. I know that we're plagued by the internet some days. So at least we have the audio that will go out tomorrow.
Yeah.
You can listen to the audio later on iTunes, Spotify, wherever you get your podcast.
Yeah, the Arkansas Agcast is brought to you by Arkansas Farm Bureau and hosted by me, Jason Brown. And today, our producer but guest host, Brian Pistole.
Thanks for having me.
Along with Matthew Magdefrau, and I would be remiss if I didn't mention our special guest producer, my daughter who's in-house today, Marilyn Brown.
That's right.
As well.
You want to come wave?
No. Too embarrassed for that. All right.
Well, we'll be back next week with more ag news that matters to you, the farmer. Until then, we're signing off.